Sumer was an ancient civilization, founded in the Mesopotamia region of the Fertile Crescent, situated between the Tigris and Euphrates River. The people known as Sumerians were in control of the area by 3000 BC. Their culture was comprised of a group of city-states, including Eri, Ni, Agash, Kish, Yor, and the very first true city Uruk. Cuneiform is a system of writing first developed by the ancient Sumerians of Mesopotamia c. 3500 BC. It is considered the most significant among the many cultural contributions of the Sumerians, and the greatest among those of the Sumerian city of Uruk. Crafted objects helped aid the significant growth of Mesopotamian cities such as Uruk, Sumer, Yor, and Alubaid. It was also the Sumerian people who used copper weapons for the first time, since they invented swords, spears, maces, slings, and clubs for the purpose. Wheels first appeared in ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, more than 5,000 years ago. They were originally used by potters to help shape clay. Later, wheels were fitted to carts, which made moving objects around much easier. The Sumerians didn't invent wheeled vehicles, but they probably developed the first two-wheeled chariot in which a driver drove a team of animals. Sumerians' agriculture of the Sumerians began agriculture around 10,000 years ago. They inhabited in the Fertile Crescent, which is now part of the Near East. The Sumerians built on Egyptian technology and developed an advanced irrigation system for farming. They used ditches, canals, channels, dikes, weirs, and reservoirs to transport water to crops. The Sumerians initially grew wheat as one of their primary crops. The Babylonians used the innovations of the Sumerians, added to them, and built an empire that gave the world, among other things, codified laws, a tower that soared above the earth, and one of the 7 wonders of the world. Geographically, the Empire of Babylonia occupied the middle and southern part of Mesopotamia. The oldest known world map is the Babylonian map of the world known as the Imago Mundi. This map dates back to the 5th century BC. This map, found in southern Iraq in a city called Sippar, shows a small bit of the known world as the Babylonians knew it centuries ago. Urbanization began around 8,000 years ago in Babylonia, as people moved to cities to seek educational and employment opportunities. The Babylonians used horoscopic astrology by observing the seasonal movement of the sun, moon, and planets. The Babylonians connected their beliefs of divine intervention in their everyday life to space and time. The Babylonians used multiple methods for measuring the passage of time throughout the day. A common system was dividing the 24-day up into 12 double hours Biru. These units of time were equivalent to 30 of the sun's movement around the earth. 360 divided by 12 is 30. Knowledge of Babylonian mathematics is derived from some 400 clay tablets unearthed since the 1850s. Written in cuneiform script, tablets were inscribed while the clay was moist and baked hard in an oven or by the heat of the sun. The majority of recovered clay tablets date from 1800 to 1600 BC and cover topics that include fractions, algebra, quadratic and cubic equations, and the Pythagorean theorem. Babylonian temples were thus massive structures of crude brick, supported by buttresses. The use of brick led to the early development of the pilaster and column, and of frescoes and enameled tiles. The walls were brilliantly colored, and sometimes plated with zinc or gold, as well as with tiles. In the course of centuries, Rome grew from a small town on the Tiber River in central Italy to a vast empire that ultimately embraced England, all of continental Europe west of the Rhine and south of the Danube, most of Asia west of the Euphrates, northern Africa, and the islands of the Mediterranean. The ancient Romans were famous for their advanced engineering accomplishments. Technology for bringing running water into cities was developed in the East, but transformed by the Romans into a technology inconceivable in Greece. The architecture used in Rome was strongly influenced by Greek and Etruscan sources. The Romans mined for metals in every part of their empire. They sought both utilitarian metals such as iron, copper, tin, and lead, and the precious metals gold and silver. Mines in ancient Rome used hydraulic mining and shaft mining techniques with tools such as the Archimedes screw. The materials they produced were used to craft pipes or construct buildings. A 2,000 years old device, often referred to as the world's oldest computer, has been recreated by scientists trying to understand how it worked. The Antikythera mechanism has baffled experts since it was found on a Roman-era shipwreck in Greece in 1901. Surgical tools and medical implements used in ancient Rome. Archaeological sites have produced many implements used in ancient Roman surgery. In the antiquity, surgeons and physicians in Greece and Rome developed many ingenious instruments manufactured from bronze, iron, and silver, such as scalpels, lancets, curettes, tweezers, speculi, trephines, forceps, probes, dilators, tubes, surgical knives, etc. Ancient India is the Indian subcontinent from prehistoric times to the start of medieval India, which is typically dated to the end of the Gupta Empire on 500 CE. Ancient India was home to two of the world's first cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. These cities had stone buildings, multiple stories, and sewage systems. The first time we have a record of zero being understood as both a symbol and as a value in its own right was in India, about 650 AD. The mathematician Brahmagupta, amongst others, used small dots under numbers to represent a zero. The dots were known as sunya, which means empty, as well as ka, which means place. The Indus Valley Civilization are credited with the invention of the button, and the earliest one we have in existence today dates from around 2000 BCE and is made from a curved shell. The first buttons were used as ornamental embellishments to a person's attire and signified wealth or status. The game of chess was born in India during the Gupta dynasty in the 6th century. Today, more than 1,500 years later, it is played in 172 countries. Chess is one of India's contribution to world culture, with games played in the court of kings, to those played in villages. In India, scribes have used needle and pen since antiquity to write many of their Buddhist and Jain scripts. Black ink was known as masi in India, a mixture of different ashes, water, and animal glue. Ayurveda has its foundations laid by the ancient schools of Hindu philosophical teachings, named Vaisheshika, and the school of logic, named as Nyaya. The Chinese civilization is one of the world's ancient calcinations, aged almost 5,000 years. Its first written records date back to 4 millennia BC. The Chinese civilization originated in Huang-Chou and Yangtze River basins. Paper was first made in Luoyang, China by Cai Lun, a Chinese court official. In all likelihood, Cai mixed mulberry bark, hemp and rags with water, mashed it into pulp, pressed out the liquid, and hung the thin mat to dry in the sun. Gunpowder, origins in the East. Gunpowder, as it came to be known, a mixture of saltpeter, potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. Together, these materials will burn rapidly and explode as a propellant. Chinese monks discovered the technology in the 9th century CE. The theory and practice of acupuncture originated in China. It was first mentioned and recorded in documents dating a few hundred years before the Common Era. Earlier, instead of needles, sharpened stones and long bones were used around 6000 BC for acupuncture treatment. Ancient Egypt was a civilization in northeast Africa, situated in the Nile Valley. Ancient Egyptian civilization followed prehistoric Egypt and coalesced around 3100 BC with the political unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under Medes. The ancient Egyptians used the stem of the papyrus plant to make sails, cloth, mats, cords, and, above all, paper. Another Egyptian shadow clock or sundial, possibly the first portable timepiece, came into use around 1500 BCE. This device divided a sunlit day into 10 parts, plus 2 twilight hours in the morning and evening. The Egyptian calendar was based of a year of 365 days, with 12 months and 3 seasons. Each month had 3 10-day weeks, for a total of 30 days. The last 5 days of the year corresponded to the birthdays of 5 deities: Osiris, Isis, Horus, Seth, and Nephthys. The Egyptian pyramids are ancient masonry structures located in Egypt. Sources cite at least 118 identified Egyptian pyramids. Approximately 80 pyramids were built within the Kingdom of Kush, now located in the modern country of Sudan.
I know gold is not enough. She's a